We all love to collect and keep our Christmas memories, and there's a place in Youngstown where you can find all your memories of Christmas past under one roof. It's the Arms Museum on Wick Avenue. I'm Tricia Perry for Vision of the Valley. We're here on Wick Avenue in Youngstown at the Arms Museum, the former home of all of Arms and now the Mahoning Valley Historical Society's museum. Anthony Warelia is the architect of the Christmas display, which is now in its 6th year, and we're here to talk to him about where do you get the idea for such a beautiful thing?
Well, I'm a passionate Christmas collector for the last 15 years, and growing up in Smoky Hollow, my mother was an avid collector herself. So our home was always decorated at Christmas time, and it's just over the years having the passion and love for it. The ideas evolved from the pieces that I collect.
So each year, I've seen it every year, and each year it's been different. So, you know, there was one that was Christmas in motion, and there were all kinds of moving parts, and then this year it is about kind of a local twist on Christmas,
Yes,
right?
it's Christmas time in the city. And we're featuring a lot of the local department store pieces that we have on display this year. 2 displays from McKelvey's and a few displays from Strauss Department Store also. And it was just fitting to tie in this year with local Christmas enthusiasts. And probably one of the neatest things is that a gentleman, John Garver of Boardman, invented the twinkler ornament and was made local by Plaky Toy.
And we're going to get to talk to him about that in a little bit. But as far as the theme and the local collectors, sometimes you've had collectors that send you things from far away that don't even live in Youngstown, right, in the past?
Yes, well, this year we put a call out on Facebook for any local Christmas displays that used to be downtown, and we got a response as far as Maryland. So we drove to Maryland for this exhibit, and they'll be on exhibit on the 2nd floor.
That's great that you could look farther and find those things that we thought we lost, like the big decorations over the street. I would love if you could find some of those. Someday maybe someone will come up with some of those in the different department stores that are no longer that many of us remember.
Right. Well, when my mom worked at Strauss for 30 years, I remember as a young boy going downtown when they had display sales, and it was a lot of the old Christmas decorations over the years, and she acquired a few of those. Fortunately, I threw them out. But yeah, but you know, they are out there. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there are pieces in local homes.
Yeah, I'm sure. Okay, so if someone has come to this a couple times before, what will they see? Give me some highlights that they will be wowed by, that will be different than what they saw before.
Well, it's all new for the last 6 years. It's always been all new. That's the misconception, that people think that we showcase the same vignettes and decorations and so forth. We do not. It's all new. We have 15 local enthusiasts, like I said, and anywhere from Victorian, German scrap tinsel ornaments, a local sleigh by the Youngstown Carriage Works, owned by Roy Hartley. We have German nodding Santa Clauses that are very rare, and again, just a plethora of really unique Christmas decorations.
So if you like Victorian, there's something here to see that way. If you like those elves, there's something there.
There's elves, there's shiny
toys.
bright bulbs, there's the museum collection toys are on display, the local department store displays, figurines from the 50s. Nativity scenes,
right.
Yes. It's over a year-long process I'm thinking of next year and 2 years from now. For the many, many hours that we put into this exhibit, it takes approximately 2 months to put it up, along with over a year to design it and hunt for special pieces if we need a special piece to fit the theme. But the most gratifying part of it is that when people walk through and they tell you they're going to put their Christmas tree up this year, they had no intention of doing it until they walked through the exhibit here. They're going home to put their grandmother's aluminum tree up or drag their old ornaments that they grew up with. And we've even had grown men walk through the exhibit and cry, have a tear in their eye at the end. That's pretty powerful. I can't even put that in words, how that these decorations and seeing all these iconic pieces from your childhood brings back so many great memories that it moves people.
These look familiar to me. When I was a kid, I remember those boxes with the greens on them and the McKelveys and the Livingstons. So these are just in the collection here that you...
These are part of the collection. These are various department store boxes from McKelveys, Strauss, and Livingstons. And you can see over time how they kind of evolved from the brown paper boxes to a little bit more color in them, and the logos have changed and so forth like that.
I think even though this is not as ornate as other things in this museum right now, that this right here will get people talking just looking at those names on those boxes, don't you think?
It does. Again, it brings back a lot of memories, and it brings back the memories of shopping downtown, Youngstown.
So, as I said, this is the part of the museum that, in the house, that changes drastically, at least for me. Every year I really notice how you've done this so differently. One year it was covered with snow and little houses or something, you know, like a little village, and you couldn't even see the windows. But this year, it's all plaky twinklers.
Twinkler ornaments, yes. This is the local, iconic 50s heat motion ornament, the twinkler. Invented by Boardman resident John Garver and made local by Plaky Toy.
So you really brought in the 50s colors and the plastic. The whole tree kind of goes along that theme, plus the white tree.
Correct.
It really brings that out.
The lights on the tree are actually vintage lights. They're GE made them. They're ice snowball lights. So they're vintage lighting with the vintage ornaments. And we just kind of tied it all in to fit the whole color scheme.
See, he signed one.
Yes, there are several on here that John has signed for my collection.
So they don't make these anymore, right?
There were two companies that made the Twinklers, Christopher Radko and Department 56. And you can still find them out on the market. Not sure if they're physically making them now, but
right.
they did make a remake for a while. Yeah.
You know, it's great. Another tie to Youngstown that's kind of amazing. You know, we have a lot of those, and I think that these very popular ornaments.
Right. I think the great thing about this ornament is, as I grew up, I remember it being on my neighbor's tree. These were sold at Strauss department store, and although my mom worked there, we never had them on our tree. But our neighbors had them, so I'd go down as a kid and just stare at them. And it truly is one of the most iconic Christmas ornaments around.
So we're here with John Garver, the inventor of the Plaky ornament, which is a Youngstown phenomenon, but also was known nationwide as far as a very popular ornament of the 1950s, right?
That's what happened.
That's what happened. Can you believe it happened? Did you expect it?
I expected it to do well, but I didn't expect to do as well as it did.
Really?
Yeah.
Where did you get your idea? Do you remember what your thought process was? Were you sitting around thinking about an ornament, or did it just happen?
No, what happened is I was in the chemistry lab, and you take a test tube and you heat it on a Bunsen burner, and you have a helper, and once you get it nice and hot, it starts to glow a little bit, the glass. He takes one end and runs off to the other end of the lab, and what you've done, you've stretched that tube into a tiny capillary, a tube of glass. Then you melt one end shut in the burner. So I then used those little short pieces of that with the dome to be the bearing for the original twinkler. So I cut that little three-bladed spinner out of some foil that I had, wrapped some wire that you use on flowers around a pin, and left it be about 6 inches long, and said, well, we'll wrap that wire around the tree limb, stick the pin straight up, and put the spinner on top of it, and get that to happen above a light, because there'll be an upflow of hot air that will run it.
So you already had the idea that you wanted it to be on a Christmas tree, this little spinner. You thought of it as a light, something by the light of the Christmas tree.
Well, I wasn't at the moment when I looked at it, I saw the bearing. We have in the laboratory and here on display a radiometer. There's one right up here that works from infrared light. And the original twinklers had glass bearings.
Oh, wow.
But they were too expensive.
Sure.
I was making them in my living room, and my wife was helping, and I had a torch in my hand, and I would melt the glass tubing. I had 6 rods spinning at the same time, and I do one, then the other, because you have to let it cool a little bit before you can cut it. And then I touch it with a diamond, and that'd score it. I could break it off. And so we were making bearings for a Plaky Toy Company. And they were costing 3 cents a piece because of my time and what I needed to be paid for them.
Right.
And when Mr. Hoover said that bearing is too expensive, it's causing us to make the twinkler cost too much. So I said, well, we'll figure a way to make a cheaper bearing. And that then became the metal bearing that we now use. And there's a special way to make it that our competitors didn't know about. And when they tried to imitate it, they couldn't make their spinners go around. When I took the first box to the hardware store, with, I think I had a half a dozen in the box, and they had to put them up and I didn't give them a display tree or anything, they had to do it. Well, they didn't sell them. And so I thought, well, this is a bad idea, you know. So I gave those to my work friend that was worked with me and went to the church and was there at the college. A year later, when I went to his home, here he had all of them on his tree and running. And then the breakthrough occurred. My sister knew I wore bow ties. And she gave me a bow tie for Christmas that was encased in a plastic tube as a packing system. And then I said, how dumb can you be? All we have to do is put the spinner in a tube, hang it up, the angel hair won't get in the way, and it'll stay vertical. And the original one is the one that looks like a bird cage.
Yes.
Yes. That was the result, that was the design from a baby toy artist. But it was expensive molds to make the tops and bottoms and put them together. And so the star was a simplification.
Sure.
And then the cookie cutter things were just the designs to make Christmas trees and snowmen and things like that. The same principle at hand.
People are overwhelmed by this, and it's such a memory for them. Are you surprised by how people so love these even today, even when they aren't really out there anymore?
Still am. So they made a lot of them, and so we took They took a tree to Strauss's, a demonstration tree, about 4 foot tall, and we sold 1,000 twinklers in one day.
Oh my gosh. So you knew it was a success.
We knew it was a success.
Yeah. So for the Victorian lover, this is the tree. This is it.
Correct. It has German scrap and tinsel ornaments on it, along with crackers, and the crackers would have been a favor that they would have put at the table setting with a surprise inside, a toy surprise inside.
And before they made fancy glass ornaments, this is what ornaments looked like, these paper with the tinsel.
Correct. They were actually, the scrap ornaments were put in scrapbooks, and when they began to decorate trees, they embellished them with tinsel and trim and cellophane and wire.
And this is one of your local collectors that
Yes.
had all of these things and felt she should share them. with
Right.
the-
This is Trudy Nelson. She's a Christmas enthusiast herself, and we invited her to display her Victorian-themed tree.
What is this box right here? This is interesting.
The box on the floor below the tree is it's a Fairy Christmas box. It was an old store display by the Fairbanks Soap Company, and it was a counter store display. It was probably a special promotional piece that for Christmas time, and it had they sold soap, obviously. Bars of soap would have been in the box, and it's a popular piece of Christmas collectors because of the fairy angel on the box, and you know what it says, the Fairy Christmas box.
So this is amazing to me. These are nativities from around the world, right?
Correct. There's actually one big collection here by Lois Klein of Poland, and Lois collects nativities all over the world as she travels, and as her friends travel, they bring her back a nativity.
So you are the one that brought all of your collection of nativities. And
Yes.
where did you get this passion to collect nativities?
Well, Christmas is the birth of Christ. And whenever we started to travel, you bring home a souvenir. Well, the souvenir was a crash, because I've always loved the crash.
So you have many countries? Is this your whole collection?
Oh no, this is only a dozen.
So point out a few. Obviously, this one's a Wendell August Forge one, right?
Wendell August Forge, we had to incorporate, of course, the USA, and this is from Grove City.
Yeah.
And it's
Supporter of the museum as well, because I believe Mr. Connect was on the board for many years.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so that's nice.
Yes, and that's if you look, there's etching and all the figures. It's
Beautiful.
beautiful.
This looks like they were made of paper.
That is magazine strips. It's
Oh my
from
gosh.
Vietnam.
Oh.
And each country more or less uses what materials they have. And they didn't have much in Vietnam, but they used their little
That's
magazines.
amazing.
Uh-huh.
Is this, which country is this?
I believe this is El Salvador. And if you notice, the nativities from Central America, Mexico, South America. They're very colorful.
Colorful,
They
right.
love the colors.
Where's this one from?
And Russia.
Lovely.
And that is handcrafted and hand painted, each little piece. And they even incorporate a little magnifying glass.
So you can look closer.
So you can look
That little
close and
thing
see
right
the
there.
eyelashes on the people
Oh
there.
my gosh, I love this donkey.
Yes,
It's beautiful. Okay, and what's this one? This one's fascinating.
That's, of course, from Mexico. And you can see the color in it.
I love
they
that
love the brightness.
purple color.
The
Yeah.
purple and the
This
purple.
teeny tiny one.
Yes, Peru.
Okay.
And you can see how they,
Oh.
the figures look like they do
Mm-hmm.
over in Argentina. And the one with the star, Bangladesh,
Okay.
that is their creche scene.
And then there's a wooden one there.
Armenia. And this one here is wood also. It's from I can't even say it, Oberammergau in
Oh my
Germany.
gosh. Well, Germany. We'll just say Germany. And
But
then
it's wood. It's handcrafted.
beautiful. What about that tiny little one with the red roof?
That's from Peru also.
And then the little gray.
Italy.
Oh, pretty.
So I tried to get one from each country.
Yes.
Different countries.
So much of this room is also the museum collection, obviously all of Arm's furniture, but some of the pieces you've added go right with the Victorian theme in here, right?
Correct. We have on the mantle 3 teddy bears, actually 2 teddy bears and 1 pool toy from the museum collection, and then the doll to the left of the picture was owned by the Powers family. It's a German Biss doll. She's dressed in her winter coat and muff.
So this is kind of the German side of the room because you told me these are Christmas cards on the tables here.
Yes.
German Christmas cards.
The collection here is from Carolyn Sachs in Cortland, and she collects German fringe Christmas cards. They are silk cards with satin embellishments, and a lot of the detail on the cards are hand painted with fur and other types of trims on them.
I'm not going to complain about doing Christmas cards ever again after seeing this. This is
Yeah,
the effort that people used to put into them.
Exactly. They're very elaborate.
Hand painted.
Hand painted. They're in extremely well condition here.
It's an amazing display. It's beautiful decorations, but you have all of this history tied into it to learn how Christmas was done years ago.
Correct. You'll see so many different eras of Christmas from 1800s up to 1970s. And, you know, it's really an education on Christmas. A lot of folks have never seen some of these pieces. They're in private collections, and when they are sold, they're sold really to private collectors.
Right. Yet another reason to come and see it, because it's different every year and you may never see this again.
Exactly.
So every time I come into this room every year, one thing that does stay the same is it always looks kind of like winter in here. It might look different, you might decorate it different, but it always looks like winter.
This is the solarium of Olive's home, and in, I believe, 1920, she enclosed it. And it's just fitting because there's so much glass around here that you feel like you're outdoor.
Which was part of her philosophy, was to bring the outside in.
Correct.
The way she constructed the house, designed the house, and all of the windows. So it is a beautiful room, and it does bring the outside in, but then you brought the outside in too. You added more outside inside.
Yes, it's every year, like I said, it suits this room that we do some sort of winter wonderland. And this year we have a sleigh from the Youngstown Carriage Works. We've invited the folks from Fellows Riverside Gardens to do a natural tree. And also from the museum collection, we have a diorama of Lanterman's Mill at wintertime.
Yes. And that carriage is beautiful, and the Youngstown Carriage Company was owned by the Williamson family, right?
Correct, yes.
And somehow that survived all of these years.
Yes, that was owned by the Myers family in Hubbard. They were one of the first settlers in Hubbard, and then Roy Hartley from Columbiana purchased it, and he's a big collector of sleighs and farm machinery and so forth.
Lynn Zoccolo is with Fellows Gardens at Mill Creek Park, and of course you have your own event going on throughout the month of December with the Christmas tree display, but you have one here too, which is really nice.
Yes, we do. We were so excited to get a call telling us about the diorama that they had from the Lanterman's Mill, and we thought, oh, it would be wonderful if we could decorate a tree here at the Arms Museum as part of the Historical Society.
Perfect sense, perfect partnership.
It is.
So where did you get the inspiration for your tree?
Well, we are the gardens, and we thought, well, what would you see when you walk through the gardens? So we had volunteers and staff collecting things for us. So we have seed heads, we have dried flowers. You see some dried hydrangeas on the tree, and buckeyes, our state tree and such, birds' nests, just a lot of dried things, natural things that you would see in the gardens.
And you got a great placement in the room that is the porch area, where it's always looking like winter on this porch.
Yes, and the gardens is a wonderful place to come during the winter season, so we thought this would be a perfect way to show people that.
This room of the house is really the one that I start to think, this is what I remember Christmas being like. From those candles in the window to some of the toys, it's got a very playful feeling, and it's maybe from only 40 years ago. Not quite so far back as some of the other
This
things.
is Olive's sitting room, and in this room we have several other Christmas enthusiasts, about 6 of them, and we have these shiny bright ornaments, we have a train, we have dolls from the 50s, we have teddy bears from the 1800s, we have some German nodding Santas, a bubble light tree. So yes, this is one room where I think people will identify with.
Why do you think people are so, there are a couple things, like elves and Santas. Why are those things that people fixate on? They seem to collect those things.
Well, we always believed in Santa, and we still do, but they're just iconic figures of the holiday.
Right. And I have a question about Olive. Did she decorate much for Christmas that you know of?
We have no record of how Olive decorated. There were no ornaments or any Christmas decorations that were left.
And no photographs?
No
that she took?
photographs at all, no.
That's really unusual, I think, because she had so many photographs of her house in other
Correct.
times of the
Just
year.
nothing that time of year. Olive had no children. I don't know if that was a factor, but this is an incredible backdrop, her home, to showcase these rare one-of-a-kind pieces, and it's just so fitting. We couldn't take this display anywhere else. It just wouldn't be the same.
And I have to say, it's a Bakelite tree. I can't believe that.
Yes.
Where'd that idea come from?
Well, Kathy Wozniak is
love
a
this.
jewelry collector of Bakelite plastic jewelry. It's an early plastic, and she decorates a tree at home with her fine Bakelite jewelry. So
It's great, and I already love the bejeweled balls, okay? Those are great.
the jeweled balls are from Evelyn Rusnick, who had passed away. Those were an estate find, and they are
Wow.
just incredible vintage costume jewelry
They're great.
encrusted in those spheres.
Beautiful, and it just all fits that jewelry display right there. That's a great idea. But who would have thought how good that big light would look on a tree?
Mm-hmm.
Looks
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, it's great.
You picked the right colors.
Yeah, it's fun.
I always love the dining room of this house. I love it no matter what china is on the table or how you've decorated it for Christmas, but this really speaks to me. These plates I remember my grandmother having, and I remember those trees. I still have 2 of them.
Right.
This is a great setting, and it fits in here.
Yeah, this year features, this year in the dining room, it features something special to me. It's my mother's china, left in China, which was a very popular ceramic in the 50s and 60s. The table's decorated somewhat very similar as to what she would have decorated
Right,
it.
those big red
Big
bows.
red poinsettias,
The
big
poinsettias.
red bows.
Yeah. Yeah, my grandmother did the same thing, loved that red and green, and couldn't change that color at all. It had to be that red and green. It looks beautiful.
Very traditional red and green in here.
Right. And so many pieces she had.
She did. She worked at Strauss's for 30 years, and she collected, and we're fortunate that we still have them to still to display.
It's really great. It's a perfect addition to this room, which you don't usually see this era of dishes on the table.
Correct.
So it still looks wonderful.
Well, with everything else in the room, the twinkling plastic bells, the candelabras, the display on the table was probably for a department store. It was purchased out of a local estate. But it's just fitting. Everything is from the 50s era in here, from the lighting to the table decorations, the ceramic trees. It's really a lot of fun. I think people will identify with it.
And then over here you have a tree. Is that one of those feather trees? Or
Yes, that's a vintage feather tree from Sandy Shetler. And Sandy collects Christmas, and this tree features a variety of chenille, cotton, and German Santas.
Oh my.
And one of the ornaments on the tree there, Sandy recalls purchasing it with her father at Woolworth's in downtown Youngstown. She still has that to this day and cherishes it.
Aw. Yeah, this looks great. Where'd you get the garland?
The garland is a 50s decoration. My mom actually used to decorate in holly and lights like this, and she used to decorate, put cards around the doorway. We can't do that here at the museum, but just kind of carry that tradition is with the 50s cards along the garland there.
Yeah. One of the smallest rooms of the house, the pantry, but you can't not see it because of this fabulous copper sink, which is always a feature, but now we've got a lot of other things that are featured, such as cookies and that part of our culture that is into cookies.
Correct. Youngstown traditional cookies are just, you know, a wedding, a holiday. There's always trays and trays of cookies. So
Right.
we featured just a little display of holiday baking at the time, along with the Rich family, Bill and Leanne Rich. They have their grandparents' recipe for candy canes.
Oh my gosh.
And they make them. It's been a family tradition.
Are those them? Right?
Those are
That's
them.
the real thing.
They're
That's
awesome.
the real deal.
That's the real deal.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
That's beautiful. Yeah, it is a tradition here, and it has even sparked an event that comes up after this is over that the Historical Society does, the cookie table event, right?
Yes, it's the cookie table and cocktails. It's Saturday, February 8th at the Tyler Mahoning Valley History Center in downtown Youngstown. It's a fundraiser for the History Center.
So you can find out more information about being a part of that by talking to the people here at the museum or going
Yes, or visiting our website at mahoninghistory.org.
Okay, and if you get tired of looking at all the Christmas decorations and cookies in here, you can always look inside these gorgeous cabinets and see the china, all the different sets of china that Olive Arms had. This is pretty special. These are candy boxes, right?
These are candy boxes from 1950s and 60s. They're from the Lois Candy Company that still exists on Market Street in Youngstown.
How did you get them?
As a collector, I got a call from the gentleman and someone referred me to him, and he said I might have some boxes that you might be interested to display at the museum. I went up there and he pulled them off the shelf. They were in their original cellophane.
Just like this.
Just like this.
Perfect.
And they've been packed away for 40 years.
So this is the first time they've been out.
This is the first time they're exhibited here at the museum. And like I said, they're old, new stock, never used.
Right, just beautiful. I mean, just all the detail in how they constructed these, they're just fabulous. Memories of Christmas past will be on display until January 5th. For hours and information, go to mahoninghistory.org. For Vision of the Valley, I'm Tricia Perry.